It's 2015 model sell-off at Franklin Toyota. Now is your best time to buy because every 2015 model must be sold.
At Franklin Toyota, save up to $5,000 off the new Prius or get 0 APR for 72 months.
Find it today at Franklin Toyota in Statesboro.
On this week's show, National Signing Day, the Georgia Southern football team's 2016 class ranked as the top class in the Sun Belt. We'll hear from head coach Tyson Summers, and some of the signees will also check in on the men's and women's basketball teams. All that and more as we welcome you inside the Eagles Nest. And welcome inside the Eagles Nest. I'm your host, Josh Aubrey, being joined as always by Mike Anthony, the Georgia Southern beat writer and Statesboro Herald sports editor. And a big day here as the high school student athletes put pen to paper and decided where they're going to college. For a lot of guys, it's like you put the three hats and you pick out the one. For the Georgia Southern Eagles, of course, no big surprise that this would be one of their best recruiting classes because it's the second year of being in FBS, so you kind of figured that that's going to happen. You're not going to go down, you're going to probably go up. But maybe a little bit of a surprise how many three-star, athletes they got. I guess it's right around 10. A couple of those pretty big names, some guys that even flip-flopped from Georgia to Georgia Southern, which we've never seen that kind of stuff happen. Their first ever four-star recruit, according to ESPN. Your thoughts on the Georgia Southern recruiting class? We'll kind of go break it down by players in a minute, but overall, your thoughts?
Well, when you look at the stars, it's kind of arbitrary. There's a bunch of different recruiting services out there. They'll fight amongst themselves about a 2-star or a 3-star, a 3-star or a 4-star. What I like to look at is the kinds of teams that were after these players. And when you look at Georgia Southern in years past, their final years in the FCS, you might see them try to take away a guy from a team like Middle Tennessee or maybe another Sun Belt team. At the time back then, I guess Middle Tennessee was too. But every once in a while, they might convince a guy to come be a star at Georgia Southern instead of being another guy on a lower level FBS team. Nowadays, not so much. There's a lot of P5 schools in the mix. Georgia Southern able to turn some guys, as you said. Darian Anderson, a big receiver out of Houston County up by Macon. He was a verbal commit to Georgia, rated as 4 stars by some of those recruiting services. He ends up coming to Georgia Southern, a big-time receiver. Hopefully can jumpstart that passing game that they've been working on for a while now. Some other schools linked to Georgia Southern recruits, Syracuse, Louisville, just a lot of schools around the region and some a little bit farther away. Also some players coming from farther away, a couple of guys from New Jersey, one from Texas. Georgia Southern kind of making its name known. We talked about it during the season, the recognition, the national attention that this team is starting to get, playing on TV a little bit more. You're seeing it now and kids picking up the phone from half the country away.
Well, Mike, among some of the names, you mentioned a couple, but you also had a few that Georgia Southern was really onto for quite a while now. You had especially Shai Werts, quarterback. That's a position, obviously, that kind of starts everything. And Coach had mentioned today how it's a quarterback-based offense, and a guy like Shai Werts comes in, and it seems like he was probably one of the last names. I know they had to have been holding their breath a little bit on him. Highly touted guy, comes in from South Carolina. It looks like he can not only run with the ball, but throw it as well. Anybody else that kind of sticks out at you, or positions that stick out with you?
Well, I already mentioned a guy coming from Texas. That guy's name, Traver Vleem, a little bit of an out there name, but Traver Vleem, I've been told, is the correct pronunciation. You can follow him on Twitter. He's a pretty funny follow. He was all over today on Twitter congratulating his new Eagle teammates, getting the word out there for people like Shai Werts who might have been on the fence. This is a guy who looked at Boise State, a team that Georgia Southern would very much like to emulate as they continue their move into FBS. Looking at some of the other recruits, one of them pretty close to home, Jeremy Hawkins, a running back out of Screven County, the only running back taken by the Eagles. A little bit weird there after leading the nation in rushing 2 seasons in a row. Just one running back, but he's close to home. One of the higher rated guys on the board.
All right, well, we had a chance to talk with or hear from Coach Summers. Also, we bring you some of the players that decided to come to Georgia Southern from fairly nearby.
We're looking for good people. We wanted to make sure that we felt good about the young men that we were signing from a character standpoint. We certainly wanted to make sure that we felt good about them academically, and made sure that the first piece of it was what they were off the field. The next piece that we looked for, that I think that we did, was we tried to sign guys that were really athletic and guys that had length. We looked at wanting to be able to bring in 2 quarterbacks in this class. We were certainly able to do that. We really wanted to be able to bring in 1 running back. We were able to do that. We wanted to sign between our tight end and offensive line position. We wanted to bring in 5. We were able to do that. And from a depth standpoint at our receiver position, we wanted to be able to add quality. And I certainly felt like we did that. We were able to sign 1 young man in that group that is Georgia Southern's first ever ESPN top 300 player, a 4-star guy by ESPN in that group as well. And defensively, we really had to look at our numbers, not just for this year and replacing the graduates that we had, but for also being able to look at 2 years down the road. We will have a number of guys that are graduating after next year's fall, and so we wanted to make sure that our numbers were hitting the numbers that we needed to not overdo our class next year. For us to be in the time frame that we were, I can't say enough, for us to be in a position where media outlets and recruiting services look at us as one of as really right now the top class in the Sun Belt, and to be able to keep the guys committed that we wanted to, and to be able to look at and be able to go out and sign better players. And to be one of the top classes in the history of the Sun Belt in a, again, less than 3-week period of time is outstanding. If you look at the facilities that we've had, you look at the tradition that we've had, and you look at the university that we have as a whole in our academic background, I think those things sell themselves. Those things to me are 4- and 5-star. You know, that's what we got. This building, this room, the facilities, and the people that we have, our coaching staff. Again, I can't say enough about them and all the people on our staff in general, and the job they were able to do to bring in quality athletes. Again, I've been in places similar to this, you know, for really the better part of a decade, and I feel like this is the best class that I've been associated with. And I feel very strongly about what we were able to do in that period of time because of the men in the back of this room.
It's everything there. Life is there. Like, everything I need is there. Hell Southern. That's it.
Well, first and foremost, they got my main man up there, Coach Rob. He was one of the big decisions he was one of the big causes that I went there. Another decision was my family loves it. It's close to home. I can get back and forth real easy. And I believe I'll be great there.
I just love the campus. It's so nice. I love the people there, the the players there. They were so nice to me. I love the coaching staff.
I had to take a couple of visits and so I can so I can see like how it really would fit me. And then on the second visit, and you feel like I was home. So that's the major reason why.
I love the new coaches that they had this year, the new coaches that came, and the tradition that they have, and they're going to win. So I want to win. So I picked Georgia Southern. I worked hard all 3 of my years. I mean, I worked for this moment. I feel great, and I earned this.
Well, Mike, shifting gears, the Georgia Southern men's and women's basketball teams in full swing here, about the midway point in the Sun Belt, getting ready to jockey for positions. The guys picked up a big win on the road at Arkansas State this past week. The women had won a couple big games on the road, and they fell a couple tough ones. They got a few home games coming up. Your thoughts on where the guys and the women are right now?
Well, I think both these teams are still in position to make a run down the stretch, qualify for the Sun Belt tournament. Only the top 8 out of 11 total teams will get to go to New Orleans. With the women, as you said, a couple of big road wins against Georgia State and App State. They continued on to Arkansas. Probably could have seen a couple of road bumps coming. Little Rock, they're the defending champions from last season. Even though they're down a little bit, they still have plenty of talent. And then Arkansas State, really the class of the league from the women's standpoint. They seem to be running away with things. Coach Kip Drown said that the other 10 schools, on a good night, any of them can win. Arkansas Arkansas State, when they play their best game, it's probably a matter of everyone else playing for second place. As for the guys, they're still trying to find their footing. Little Rock, one of the better teams in the league, 18-2 now on the season for Little Rock. They fall there, didn't play their best game, but they bounce right back, get a crucial win against Arkansas State. The shooting's starting to come around a little bit, and now they'll have some revenge on their minds. UTA, Texas State, they both come to Hanner this week. They were swept out in Texas to begin conference play about a month ago. A little bit different situation now, though. UTA, one of the hottest teams in the league back then. Kevin Hervey, their do everything, all everything, double-double guy, out for the season with a torn ACL. Texas State kind of coming back down to earth after a couple of weeks of good play. So hopefully the men can get a couple of wins under their belt, get up over that 8th spot, maybe even climb a little higher, get a little more comfortable going into the final month.
All right, UT Arlington coming up on Thursday, and then on Saturday, the Eagles host Texas State. Well, that'll wrap things up. For Mike Anthony, I'm Josh Aubrey. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you again next week.